Hello everybody. If it looks like I'm filming this video on the same day as I filmed another video, that's because I am. But I wanted to make a specific video talking about bullet journals slash commonplace books slash reading logs, media consumption logs as I call it. But I started bullet journaling back in like 2021 and it was very cutesy whatever. I got all my little colored markers and my washi tapes and things like that. I'm not as artistically inclined. I enjoyed doing it. I don't know, it gave me something to do and it made things seem more exciting. I also kept a bullet journal for a couple years after that. I think I started this in 2024. Essentially, I would do my goals. A lot of times I would do just like keeping track of to-do lists, track the weather, track sleep, but I didn't always keep up with it. But this was what a more basic weekly spread would look like, and by this point I usually just did them with pen. I used to do them with little markers and things like that, and it used to be a lot cuter. The thing about bullet journaling is that it does take time, so if you don't have time, then it's easier to do something more straightforward. As the years have gone on, I've found that I have less time, so I would just do these basic spreads. So I would do weekly spreads. I would also do monthly spreads. I'm kind of hesitant to show that because it probably has sensitive information. I would put in receipts or little stickers or little things like that from that month, just kind of like a scrapbook almost, because I would put little scraps in it, kind of like a junk journal, but not completely, because I feel like junk journals tend to be more just like artistic things. This was also a good deal for function. Just most of my spreads looked like this in 2024. It looks like for this year, I kind of stopped doing anything fancy, but sometimes I would have spreads that I would put specific things. Like I had one, I'm not going to show you because it's going to dox me, but one was like a bunch of business cards I got from a farmer's market. This day, it was like a schedule. I have like an astrology thing. Oh, I have a summer bucket list, and you can see that I pretty much did not do anything on it. But because I was doing a lot simpler things, I actually didn't use my whole journal for the first time. In previous years, I pretty much filled up a journal in a year. I was only that far. So I had this whole thing, so I just did hello 2025. And part of it was when I started this journal, this was specifically for to-do lists and things like that, and I started a separate journal, what I referred to as my media consumption journal. And I put stickers on this one so that I didn't mix them up because they're the same journal, they're the same color and everything. But yeah, I made a little, you can't see it, a little sticker. It's like 6 of crows. I got this on Etsy in a little Stardew Valley stationery set. Spider-Man. I don't know where these came from. I think they came sent to me like in a book that I got on eBay or something. This was from that Stardew Valley stationery set. So cute. I kept track of everything. So you can't really tell probably, but I would track how many pages I read that day, how many episodes of a show I watched, every movie I watched, every time I listened to a new album. But I did like a bracket to figure out what my favorite book of the year was, and then I picked my favorite, which was Before the Devil Knows You're Here by Autumn Krause. I was keeping track of all of the books I bought or books I was gifted. Mostly this was for just media consumption. So I kept this separate from my other one. I don't really know why I did, because previously I just combined the two things. Mostly I would just keep like a running list of books I had read or movies I had watched. With this one, I was specifically like every day keeping track of exactly how much and what I consumed. So it took up a lot more space. I guess that's why I did it in a separate journal. There were only a few spreads. Like I did one for One Piece arcs, so I could keep track of what episodes were in what arc. I saw the Netflix show first, but then I started watching the anime, so nobody come at me. I'm currently on Skypea, if anyone knows what I'm talking about. Overall, I pretty much kept track of everything. And I think actually it kind of crippled me, because since I was keeping so much track, I was reading less because I was so focused on tracking. I actually used up a lot more of this journal than I did the other. So this was 2024, and then this is what I had for 2025. In 2025, I did not track the same way. I have a list of all of the books that I've read this year. It actually needs to be updated. A list of all the movies I watched, again, needs to be updated. Oh, I was tracking all the writing that I was doing, which is crazy because from January to September, this is the total writing days that I had. I did not write very much this year. But if you've seen any of my writing vlogs, my recent writing vlogs, I talked about how I switch between Project Hometown and Project Assassin constantly. You can see that demonstrated there. But then this year, I actually started using this to write down my thoughts on things. So I was rereading Catching Fire, and then I read Sunrise on the Reaping last year when Halsey's album came out, The Great Impersonator. I took what I had written in my notebook and then pasted it in and then just did little like doodles and favorite quotes. Not super artistic. The whole point is that it's just doing it for your own self. More writing. I wrote about Brutes. I wrote more Sunrise on the Reaping. That's like continued from the other page. More Sunrise on the Reaping. And then this is actually kind of cringe. I watched Angel's Egg, which is an anime movie from the 80s. I don't know. It was very inspiring, and I was like writing poems while I was watching the movie. Sorry, I'm a loser. And so now I am almost done with this. And I am also almost done with my regular journal, which is exciting because that means that I can stop having this division, because I actually ended up disliking dividing out. I wanted to keep everything together in one particular place because I've been hearing more and more about commonplace books, and that is something that in this journal I started using it much more as a commonplace book than I had before. I always would keep like a regular notebook. I would write in that if I wanted to write song lyrics or poems or some cringe thing like that, or recipes. But then I would come back to reference them. I'm like, why not put this in something where I'm not just going to tear the pages out? It'll be actually in a bound book that I can reference. So I started tracking recipes that I always would come back to. So the best chocolate chip cookie recipe ever. Blackberry pie recipe. Also taking more out of like the notebook pages. Like I transcribed one of my favorite Bukowski poems. So yeah, I was watching a series about Irish singing, and so there was a song, Bog Bran, and so I was keeping track of the lyrics for that. Bog Bran, Bog Bran, Bog Bran, dun, 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 dun. Etc. Words that tickle my fancy. Overmuch, motherer, acrid, eschew, some of my favorite words. So I've had this division for the last 2 years of like my day-to-day life, and then the media I consume. Maybe it worked for me for a time, but at this point I think I'm ready to allow these things to converge. At least for me, the art I consume dictates so much of the rest of my life. It makes more sense to put it all together. I'm excited, so excited, because now I can finally start a new journal. I got it in this beautiful forest green color. I had black journals, I had a purple journal, then I got these brown journals, and now I got this gorgeous forest green journal. I have some stickers to put on it, which I'm really excited about. I got the Cottage Fairy on YouTube. I loved her videos so much. She's not posting anymore. I think she posts on Patreon. She has an Etsy shop, or I don't know if she has anything up there anymore. But when she did, I did order some prints. They're like up on my wall and in other places in my house. And it also came with these cute little stickers. Okay. This is all mirror flipped, so I can't tell which way I'm going. Okay. I've left plenty of space for more stickers, but they're so cute. It matches perfectly. I don't know if you can see because of the lighting, but oh my gosh. Oh my god. But yeah, I don't know that I'm actually going to do like fancy layouts or anything. So this is kind of like a weird, silly video to make, because a lot of these, I would love to watch like bullet journal flip throughs and reading journals, just art journals, all of that. I used to love watching those. They're so beautiful. And I think in a way it can be very inspiring, because it's like, well, I want to make my own something that beautiful. But then if you're not an artist like me, I am not an artist. I write. I'm a writer. I'd feel almost kind of embarrassed or insecure in what I would make, because it was nowhere near as good as anything else anyone would make. But I think ultimately that's totally fine, because you should be doing journaling or commonplace books or whatever the case for your own self. not for anybody else to see. If you want to share it, that's fine. I have shared what I've done before, but that's more because it's like sharing a piece of me. I did a bad job trying to explain what I was trying to say right here, but essentially what I was saying is I'm not doing something to like post a beautiful thing, be like, whoa, look at this beautiful thing I made. It's more like, look at this thing that is just me. Not that there's anything wrong with sharing art and sharing your beautiful things and wanting praise for that. I think that's completely valid. But when it comes to journals or commonplace books, I think that's not the point. Make it personal, make it functional, make it whatever you want it to be, not for anybody else. If you're afraid to start a journal, a bullet journal, an art journal, a junk journal, whatever the case, a commonplace book or anything like that, you're scared of doing it because you're not sure if you're going to do it well enough or what you should even put in it, what it should even be, I would encourage you to just try. Just do something. You can copy some people if you want, watch videos of things you like, and I think when you do that, you will figure out what does and does not work for you, because initially, I would spend a lot more time on spreads. I used to have a spread for a week take up a whole thing, and I would have habit trackers and I would put a lot more, but then I found that it just didn't really work for me, so I simplified it to match whatever I needed. The whole point of things like that is catering it to whatever you need it or you want it to be. And it took me so many years. If I started in 2021, I've had a bunch of different journals. I had one in 2021, 2022, 2023, 2 journals for 24 and 25, so that's 5 separate journals, and they worked for me in whatever way they needed to at the time, and it evolved, and I found now what works for best for me. So as I'm going in to start a new journal, I don't know that I'm necessarily going to be making fancy spreads. I probably will in the beginning, like future log kind of things like that, even though I've actually never used a future log. Like, I always make them in the beginning of the year and then I never go back to it again. So maybe I don't make that. See, this is the thing. You just see what does or doesn't work for you. And for me, it's taken years, and it could take less time for you. I used to think I would have to do habit trackers and things like that. But ultimately, it came down to to-do lists, keeping track of events that I went to so that I can look back and remember when things happened in my life. I used to track weather because I thought it was interesting. I used to track sleep. Now, it doesn't really matter to me as much. I used to keep track of my top songs for the month, and I still do that. I would keep track of my books and the movies, and I still do that. Those are things that are very much catered to what I like. And in this past year, I started including recipes, ones that I know that I'm going to return to over and over again, so that this book doesn't just become something I'm trying to make look pretty. It's basically just taking whatever in your brain and putting it on a page. Things that matter to me that I want to keep hold of and have kind of immortalized on paper. Not that paper is immortal. It can get damaged easily. It's better tracked in a journal than in your brain. I don't know, maybe you have superhuman brain that like remembers everything. Not me. I'm very excited to be starting my new journal, and I just wanted to chat about that real quick and just encourage you to do something like that of your own if you want to. And it truly can be anything you want. It can be doodles, it can be poems, it can be to-do lists, it can be, like I said, whatever snippets from your favorite poems that other people wrote. It could be your thoughts on a book or on a movie or on an album. If you want to take notes on a topic that really interests you, then go for it. I have notes about like the Irish language just because it fascinates me. It's all about putting you on a page, and it's for you. If you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear whatever you think. Do you keep a bullet journal or a reading journal or art journal, or do you keep more like a diary where you just keep track of your thoughts? Whatever it is, let me know. I'd love to know your process, and if it's good for you, if it's helpful, things that you tried and maybe it didn't work for you. I'd love to hear more. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I guess that's gonna be all. Bye 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 bye.